Hello everyone and welcome again to Minimalist Gourmet, where today I'll be teaching you how to make banana bread. This classic is one of my favorites, and I'll be including recipes for a classic version as well as a gluten-free option. So let's get started. One quick note, whether you're making the classic version with wheat flour or the gluten-free option, I've included recipes in the description below, so definitely check those out. The procedure is exactly the same for the two, it really just depends on which flour you're using. I have 1.5 cups of flour measured out here, and to this I'll be adding 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon salt, and 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon. Mix up your dry ingredients before we move on to the wet ingredients. And we're going to be starting off with bananas. Three very, very ripe bananas to be specific. You want there to be lots of spots and be very soft. Peel them and place them into a large bowl so that we can smash them. I prefer using a potato masher, but a fork will work here just as well. Go through and mash up your bananas really well until you have a paste that looks something like this. And to our bananas, we add 1/3 of a cup melted butter and 3/4 of a cup packed brown sugar. Give your bananas, butter, and sugar mixture a nice beating here before adding in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, followed by 2 eggs, and then mixing very, very well once again until everything is well incorporated. And it's time to introduce our dry and wet ingredients. Simply pour the dry right on top of the wet and fold them in very carefully. Take your time here and do fold in the ingredients instead of mixing because this will determine the final texture of your banana bread. You also really don't want to overwork the mixture here. You want to fold it in until you just don't see streaks of flour throughout the dough. This looks great, so this is right where we're going to stop and we can introduce our final ingredient, which happens to be 3/4 of a cup chopped walnuts. Add these and only fold 4 or 5 times so you do not ruin that lovely texture of your banana bread. So as soon as they are mixed in and you can't see them, go ahead and put down the spatula and walk away. Wrap up your loaf pan with some no-stick cooking spray or butter, whichever you prefer, and make sure to get all the surfaces. Additionally, I like to use a piece of parchment paper or aluminum foil to make a cradle. Simply fold it so that it fits around your pan. It has these little ears here off the edges that stick out. This is easy insurance to help make sure that it comes straight out the first time, every time after baking. Spray down the aluminum foil with some no-stick spray as well, but you can skip it if you're using parchment paper. Now, pour your batter into your prepped up pan and use your spatula to spread it out and make sure that you push it really well into all the corners. You want to make sure that you have a nice even layer of batter all through your pan so that it cooks nice and even. Bake in a 350-degree oven for 50 to 60 minutes. And 55 minutes later, let's take a look and check on our banana bread. First, we're going to visually inspect it. It's looking pretty good, and we're going to feel it. Nice crust, but still pretty soft in the middle. But to be sure, we're going to use a skewer to check the center. Simply stick it in right through the middle and pull it out. You want to make sure that it comes out clean. I like to test at least 2 spots around to double check, and this one also confirms nice and clean. We're going to call that done. Now you want to let it sit here and rest for a good 10 or 15 minutes without touching it. And 15 minutes later, it's cool enough to pull out of the pan. Now we want to run a knife down this side here and this side here because it can stick on those back edges. So just a little serrated knife run through right between the edge of the bread and the pan will be great. Mine actually didn't stick, it pulled away great, so I'm just showing you here for demonstration. Now all you have to do is pull up on the cradle and your loaf should come out easy peasy lemon squeezy. That's why we did it this way. Gently slide off the finished banana bread so it can cool for another 30 to 40 minutes before slicing up and enjoying. Now, when it comes to slicing, I highly recommend that you use a long serrated knife if you have one and do nice long, gentle strokes so that you cut through your banana bread and keep that beautiful texture. Today I made mine with gluten-free flour and the texture was fantastic. The flavor was amazing. It was nice and moist as well as nice and fluffy inside. You really couldn't have asked for anything more. Guys, it really is just that easy to make this delicious banana bread in your house tonight. I want to thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you all again here real soon on another episode of Minimalist Gourmet.